You are listening to Revenge Rain, where fairness is forced, not asked for. Enjoy the story. On the first day of college drop-off at NYU, my father, Richard, pulled a sleek black Amex card from his wallet. Without a second of hesitation, he handed it to my twin brother, Mason. His voice was calm, as if he was just handing over a stick of gum. "Mason, son, here is $50,000 for your first semester's allowance. Spend it wisely, but don't be afraid to treat your friends. Networking is important." Then, he turned to look at me. His eyes were cold, filled with the annoyance one might feel when looking at a stain on a designer suit. "Mia, you are 18 now. You are a girl. Why do you need your parents' money? If you want to eat, go find a job. Waitress? Stripper? I don't care. Just don't ask me for a cent. Every dollar I make is for my son, the heir to my empire." At that exact moment, a mechanical voice rang in my head. Ding! Gender bias detected. Calculating injustice. Target: Richard. Value: $50,000. Compensation activated double. $100,000 has been deposited into your secret Swiss bank account. I stood there, blinking. Oh, so he just gave Mason 50 grand? Actually, I have a system. A very petty, very specific system. It only sides with women. Every time I face discrimination because of my gender, the system appears and automatically compensates me double the damage. And the money? It comes directly from my parents' assets. My father is a real estate tycoon in Manhattan. He owns 2 skyscrapers in Midtown. He is filthy rich. But his mindset? Stuck in the 1800s. I remember once, when we were 10, I took $2 from his wallet to buy water on a scorching summer day. He chased me for 3 blocks, throwing his loafer at me, screaming like I was a thief. But Mason, at age 3, he smashed 10 bottles of vintage wine worth thousands. My dad didn't even blink. He laughed and said, "Look at that strength, a true man." We are twins. I was born 10 minutes later, but somehow, I became the older sister who had to take care of him. We also have an older sister, Sarah. She was the firstborn, a disappointment. Mason was the miracle son. And me? I was the mistake, the extra one. They sent me to live with a distant aunt in Ohio for 15 years. They only brought me back to New York for high school because their public image needed polishing. Ironically, Mason and I got the exact same score on the SATs. We both got into NYU. Before college started, Dad threw a massive party at our Hamptons estate. 3 days of feasting. He made me serve drinks to the guests like a maid. Everyone toasted to the genius Mason, ignoring the fact that I had the exact same acceptance letter. While Mason was partying, I was standing in the corner, wondering how I would pay for my textbooks. That was when the system found me. System. Host Mia found. Do you agree to link with the gender bias compensation system? Source of compensation: your parents' assets, health, and luck. I looked at my dad, laughing with his rich friends, calling me useless to a business partner. I clenched my fist. I agree. The journey to college was the first test. Mason took a private jet with Mom and Dad. Champagne, caviar, the works. Me? They bought me a ticket for the Greyhound bus. 12 hours of back pain and smelling the stranger next to me. Ding! Unfair treatment detected. Value of private jet flight: $10,000. Compensation: $20,000 deposited. I smiled. I got off the bus at the first stop and booked a first-class ticket on Delta. Why should I suffer? When I arrived at the dorms, Mason and my parents were just pulling up in a limo. Mom looked at me, faking a guilty smile. "Mia, honey, we wanted to take you on the jet, but Dad said you aren't used to luxury. You might get motion sickness. The bus is better for you." I nodded. my face expressionless. It's okay, Mom. Dad is right. I prefer the ground. Ding. Emotional manipulation detected. Compensation, $5,000. Mom was about to say something else, but Dad cut her off. Stop coddling her. Mia, go help your brother unpack. You are his sister. Learn to take care of him. Make his bed. Mason stood there, playing games on his iPhone. Looking bored. This dorm is too small. Dad, I can't live here. Where is the maid? Is Mia going to cook for me? Dad laughed, patting Mason's back. Don't worry, son. The school doesn't allow live-in maids in the dorms. But I have a solution. I'll buy you a luxury condo just 2 blocks away. You can live there alone. Mason rolled his eyes. Fine. Whatever. He turned around and walked away, leaving Mom and Dad scrambling to follow him like servants. The next morning, I woke up to a system notification. Dad had bought Mason a 2-bedroom condo in Greenwich Village. Price, $2.5 million. Paid in full. Ding. Massive asset transfer to male heir detected. Compensation activated, double. Congratulations, host. You are now the owner of 2 luxury penthouses in the same building. Total value, $5 million. Deeds are in your bag. I sat up in my tiny dorm bed, holding 2 heavy sets of keys and legal documents. At the same time, my phone buzzed. It was a message in the family group chat. Mom, oh no, your father's liquidity just dropped significantly. We lost $5 million in a bad stock trade overnight. We have to tighten our budget for a while. I suppressed a laugh. The game has officially begun. 2 months into the semester, everyone on campus knew Mason was rich. He flaunted his wealth, changed girlfriends weekly, and drove a flashy sports car. One afternoon, he blocked my path after class. He was surrounded by his frat boy friends, who were snickering. Hey, isn't that your sister? The one you said was the maid's daughter? Mason frowned. Shut up. Mia, give me Chloe's number. Now. I looked at him. Chloe was my roommate, a stunning girl from California, rumored to be old money. Mason had been eyeing her since orientation. I crossed my arms. Why? Mason sneered. My parents are coming to visit tomorrow. If you don't give me her number, I'll tell them you are stealing money. How else can a broke girl like you afford nice clothes? I was about to slap him when a hand rested on my shoulder. It was Chloe. She smiled sweetly at Mason. Hi, Mason. You want my number? Here. Mason was stunned. He quickly scanned her QR code. Thanks. Chloe, I'll take you to dinner to apologize for being rude. Chloe winked at me. We are friends now. Right. Mia? Later. In our dorm. I looked at Chloe. Chloe, be careful. Mason is trouble. Chloe laughed, flipping her hair. Trouble? Mia. Men like him are easy. They think the world revolves around them. But I am a professional. Chloe wasn't actually old money. She was a survivor. Her parents tried to sell her off to a 50-year-old man to pay their gambling debts. She ran away in her wedding dress, determined to marry rich on her own terms. I had been secretly funding her lifestyle. In return, she was my sword. That night, Mason posted on Instagram. She said yes. Official couple. A few days later, Mom called. Mia, your father and I are coming to New York. We will stay at the condo in Greenwich Village. You should come stay with us. Family reunion. I knew the real reason. Their usual maid was on leave. They needed a temporary servant. When I arrived at the condo, Mason was already complaining. Why is Mia here? I told you I wanted privacy with my girlfriend. Mom soothed him. She is just here to clean and cook, honey. Once we leave, she goes back to the dorm. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Chloe. She was carrying expensive gifts. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Sterling. I heard you were in town. Mason immediately puffed up his chest. Mom. Dad. This is Chloe. My girlfriend. Chloe looked at me, pretending to be shocked. Mia? You work here? Mason told me you were the maid's daughter. Mom panicked. No. Actually, Mia is... Mason cut in. Yeah. She is basically the help. Ignore her. I laughed out loud. I didn't bother pretending anymore. Uncle Richard. Auntie. My mom sent me the bill for the last semester. $56,000 for tuition and housing. You haven't transferred it yet. I pulled out my phone, showing a QR code to my Uncle Richard. Dad glared at me. Mia, we can talk about this later. Chloe tugged on Mason's sleeve. Babe, your family is so strict with money. Is it tight right now? Mason, desperate to impress her, shouted at Dad. Dad, just pay her. Don't embarrass me in front of Chloe. It's chump change. Dad looked like he wanted to kill me, but under the pressure of his precious son's ego, he transferred the money. Ding! Payment received. That night, we went out for dinner. Chloe insisted on going to Le Bernardin, one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. I thought this was a normal family dinner, but Chloe ordered like a queen. Caviar, truffle risotto, vintage wine. The bill was easily going to be $5,000. Dad's face was turning purple. He had just lost liquidity due to the system's penalty. Mason, oblivious, decided to drop another bomb. Dad, I want to buy a car. A Porsche 718 Boxster. Dad choked on his water. A car? Now? Mason shrugged. Yeah, Chloe likes Porsches. Besides, everyone in my frat has one. Mom tried to intervene. Son, your father's business is a bit slow right now. Mason slammed his fork down. So? You can't even afford a Porsche? How am I supposed to maintain my image? Chloe, tell them. Chloe looked at him with big, innocent eyes. It's okay, Mason. If your family is struggling, we can take the subway. I don't mind. There's a guy in finance who drives a Lamborghini who asked me out. But I chose you. Mason exploded. Dad, buy it. Now. Dad, trembling, pulled out his phone and transferred the money to the dealership. $80,000. Ding. Massive asset transfer to male heir detected. Compensation activated. Double. Congratulations, host. You now own 2 Porsche 911 turbos. Keys are in your pocket. Dad's health, 10 points. Mom's health, 10 points. I felt a surge of energy. My chronic back pain vanished. Dad looked pale. He looked 10 years older in an instant. The next day, we went to the dealership. The salesman recognized Mason. Ah, Mr. Sterling, your Boxster is ready. Mason smirked at me. Look, Mia, this is what a real car looks like. Go take the bus. I ignored him and walked up to the manager. Excuse me, I'm here to pick up my order. The manager looked at my ID, and his eyes widened. Ms. Mia, yes. Your 2 911 turbos are prepped and ready. Would you like us to deliver them? Mason's jaw dropped. What? 2? How? I smiled. Dad bought them for me. Right, Dad. I turned to Dad, who was currently on the phone, screaming at his accountant about missing funds. Mason called Dad. Dad, did you buy Mia 2 cars? Dad screamed back. Are you crazy? I don't have money for toilet paper right now. Stop asking for things. Mason hung up, confused and angry. I tossed one set of keys to Chloe. You drive one. I'll drive the other. Let's go, bestie. We roared out of the lot in our twin supercars, leaving Mason standing there with his entry-level Boxster. Back at the dorm, Mason was furious. He felt humiliated. He texted Chloe. Babe, sorry about today. My sister is a liar. She probably stole that money. Chloe replied, I think we should break up. Your family seems unstable. And honestly, your dad looked at me weird. Mason panicked. No, I love you. I'll prove it to you. What do you want? Chloe sent a photo of a jade bracelet worth $500,000. This. If you buy this, I'll know you are serious. Mason didn't have that kind of money, but he knew Mom had a jewelry collection. A week later, my system pinged. Asset liquidation detected. Mason sold Mom's vintage jewelry collection for cash. Value, $200,000. He sold it cheap. Compensation, $400,000 deposited. Mason bought the bracelet, which was actually a fake one I listed on an auction site through an intermediary. He gave it to Chloe. Chloe took it, smiled, and then dumped him the next day. Mason, we are not compatible. You are too immature. Mason went berserk. He tried to hit Chloe, but her new boyfriend, a hired bodyguard, knocked him out cold. Mason came crying to Mom and Dad. Dad was already in the hospital. His kidneys were failing. The system had taken a toll on his health. The doctor said he needed a transplant immediately. Mom called Mason and me to the hospital. One of you needs to donate a kidney. Mason immediately stepped back. No way. I need my body for future business. I can't be weak. Mia should do it. She's useless anyway. I laughed. Me? Why would I save him? He spent 18 years treating me like trash. I looked at Dad, lying in the hospital bed, looking frail. Dad, remember when I asked for $2 for water? You said I was a waste of money. Well, my kidney is worth a lot more than $2. I turned to Mom. Ask your precious son. He took all your money. He took all your love. Now, let him give something back. Mom looked at Mason. For the first time, she saw him clearly. A selfish, spoiled brat. Mason, please, your father will die. Mason backed away towards the door. I can't. I'm leaving. He ran out of the hospital room and never came back. He booked a flight to Europe with the last bit of money he stole from Dad's wallet. Dad watched his golden child abandon him. A single tear rolled down his cheek. He looked at me. Mia. I smiled coldly. Don't worry, Dad. I won't let you die. I will pay for the best doctors to keep you alive. Because I want you to live a long, long life. Watching your empire crumble and your son spend every last dime you have, while I, the daughter you threw away, stand on top of the world. Dad survived. Barely. I didn't give him my kidney, but I paid for dialysis. It wasn't out of love. It was because I wanted him to be lucid enough to watch his empire turn to ash. With Mason gone and the company's liquidity drained by my system, Dad had to sell off assets. First the Hamptons house, then the private jet. Finally, the skyscrapers in Midtown. And guess who bought them? A shell company owned by me. While my parents were selling everything for pennies on the dollar to pay off debts and medical bills, I was buying their legacy with the very money the system took from them. Mom was hysterical. She called Mason every day, screaming into the voicemail. Mason, you ungrateful brat. If you don't come back and help your father, I will cut you out of the will. But there was nothing left to inherit. Mason, realizing the money tap had run dry, blocked Mom's number. He was reportedly in Monte Carlo, trying to woo a Russian oil heiress. Spoiler alert, the heiress was a scammer. She cleaned out his last credit card and left him with a massive hotel bill. 6 months later, my parents were forced to move out of the Manhattan condo. They rented a small 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. The heating was loud, the neighbors were noisy, and there was no maid to cook for them. I visited them once. Dad sat in a cheap recliner, looking like a ghost. When he saw me, his eyes filled with tears, not tears of joy, but tears of regret. Mia, I'm sorry. We were wrong. You are the only one who cares about us. Mom rushed over, trying to hold my hand. Mia, honey, look at us. We are suffering. Your brother abandoned us. Can you help us? Just a little? Maybe buy us a small house in the suburbs? I looked around the dingy apartment. It smelled of boiled cabbage and despair. I gently pulled my hand away. Mom, Dad. Remember when you sent me to Ohio for 15 years? You said it was character building. Well, consider this character building. I placed a check on the table. Here's $500 for groceries. Don't spend it all on alcohol. Dad's face turned red. $500? I used to tip waiters more than that. I shrugged. And now you don't. Times change. I walked out, leaving them in the silence of their own making. A year later, Mason returned to New York. He looked terrible. He had gained weight, his hair was thinning, and he was wearing a fake Gucci shirt. He tried to find me. He heard rumors that I was doing well. He cornered me outside my office building, the same building Dad used to own. Mia. Sis. I know you have money, Dad told me. Look, I made a mistake. But I have a great business idea. I just need a loan. $1 million. Or even 500,000. I looked at him behind my sunglasses. Mason, you are 22 years old. You are a man. Why are you asking a girl for money? Go find a job. I signaled the security guards. Get this trespasser off my property. Mason screamed as he was dragged away. I am your brother. You owe me. I owed him nothing. Mason ended up working odd jobs, but his ego was too big. He got fired from a waiter job for yelling at a customer. He got fired from a delivery job for eating the food. Last I heard, he was divorced twice and living in Mom and Dad's living room in Queens, fighting with them every day over who ate the last slice of bread. That evening, I met Chloe at a rooftop bar overlooking the city. I raised a glass of champagne. To us. Chloe clinked her glass against mine. To the survivors. Chloe looked at me with a mischievous smile. By the way, Mia, the system asked me something today. I paused. What? It asked if I wanted to activate the double compensation system for toxic relationships. We both burst out laughing. No need. We don't need systems anymore. We have the power now. The sun set over New York City, painting the sky in shades of gold and violet. I took a deep breath. The air tasted sweet. My parents were miserable. My brother was a failure. And I was free. Justice wasn't just served. It was doubled. Before we go, please note, this is a fictional story collected and edited by us for entertainment and educational purposes. Our goal is to foster emotional awareness, empathy, and understanding regarding family dynamics. We have absolutely no intention of promoting hatred, offense, or harm toward any individual or group. The lesson I learned after all of this, and I want you, the listeners of Revenge Reign, to carve into your hearts is this. You do not owe your family your mental health, your money, or your future just because you share a last name. Love without respect is not love. It is control disguised as duty. Being a good child does not mean setting yourself on fire to keep selfish parents warm. Sometimes, the greatest act of self-love is to walk away and build your own empire on the ashes of the past. My grandparents were right about one thing. You cannot save people who don't want to save themselves, but you can absolutely save yourself. But what about you? If you were in my shoes, neglected, used, and treated like a spare part while your sibling got everything, would you have taken the high road? Or would you have used the system to take back every single penny, just like I did? Has anyone here ever had to cut off a toxic parent or sibling? How did it feel when you finally stopped trying to please them? Please leave a comment below, share your story and your point of view. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Revenge Reign so you don't miss the next emotional story of karma and justice. Goodbye, and see you next time.